Okay, we rolling? All right. I'm with Monica Miller, and you gave a talk today at the Defend Life Face the Truth Tour for Maryland here, and you were talking about your book and some of the difficulties that you went through even to get anybody to see it and read it and take it seriously. And something happened today that kind of changed the whole thing, didn't it?
Right. I started writing a book on our pro-life experiences and our pro-life work. Kind of a, I suppose you could say a memoir, but as I was saying in my talk today, the memoir aspect is only kind of incidental. It just happens to be because I was there and experienced, this slice or this episode within the pro-life struggle, and been working on this book since 1999.
No, a little while.
Well, that's a while ago. The book's gone through some phases and changes, and a number of hands have taken a look at it. And finally, after a lot of very deep prayer over these last 12 years, I got a call from a publisher today, St. Benedict's Press, affiliated with Belmont Abbey College. And they're very excited, and I'm happy because even though I've got a couple of other publishers who have expressed interest, they've asked to see the manuscript, I want to go with a publisher that is excited, that sees it as part of their mission, not just to make money, which is important when you're in the publishing world. You gotta, you do have to turn a profit if you want to keep yourself, up and running, but that they believe in it. And they understand. In fact, when I was talking to the editor today, he said it's a very beautiful and a very powerful book. And I says, whoa, oh God, I'm so glad somebody sees it like I do. He says, oh yeah, we see it, definitely. We're very excited. So it's St. Benedict's Press, and I would say usually the turnaround, from the time a contract is signed, it could be 9 months to a year.
Yeah, and what's the title?
Well, there's two titles. There are two working titles. I'm not sure which one they're going to go with. The title that most people know the manuscript by, and which is, by the way, up on our website. There are 5 chapters are up on the website, which is prolifesociety.com. So just prolifesociety.com. And the title is Graphic Images, The Untold Story of the Abortion War, or Night of Their Abandonment, The Untold Story of the Abortion War. So it's going to be probably one of those two.
Well, the graphic images are something that we're using today.
Yes.
And people get upset, seeing these images.
Right.
I got upset the first time I saw these images, and there's nothing more than just the truth. I mean, it's not a doctored image, is it?
Well, listen, while you've got the video camera there, all right, this photo of this 7-week aborted baby was one of the babies that we buried in Milwaukee. I did not actually take this picture, but I was present by it. Actually, this was taken by a professional photographer in my dining room in Milwaukee. And the baby was smuggled out of a pathology lab at Northwest General Hospital in Milwaukee by a pro-life technician. And so this baby's buried at Holy Cross Cemetery. The way I see it is I know that these are disturbing images, and people will have a number of different kinds of reactions to them, ranging all the way from, oh my God, in other words, a sort of epiphany, that's abortion, and it changes them. I've seen that. I've seen that look. It's a certain look.
Yes, I've seen
it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
There's their jaw drops, and it's like, they will never be the same. They will never think of abortion the same way. They may have been involved in one. They may have, thought that there was just nothing there except a blob of tissue. I mean, it's a certain look. And I call it, when I see that look, I say, this is a privileged moment to see that look, because you're present at the awakening of a soul, to the reality. And they've taken the reality in. And then, of course, you get some of the reactions, with, very foul language, and even somebody just said, you should have been aborted. that something like that would come out of someone's mouth.
Yeah.
Do you realize what you've just said? That I shouldn't exist is what you're saying.
Yes.
And that I should die a violent, horrible death. That's what you're saying. Be dismissed and thrown away in the trash.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the range of reaction. I believe it's important to show these images, to do it just the way we're doing it right now, because it rips the lie off of abortion. And it says we are not living in a normal world anymore. You are all going to go about your business, and God bless you. I mean, okay, get up in the morning, go to work, you're going to be going to the grocery store, you're picking up your kids from school, you're doing whatever it is you do. But while you're doing all of that, 3,000 or more babies suffered a horrible death today by sanction of law. And I'm going to show that. So this baby will not be dismissed. I think it was the concentration camp survivor, Elie Wiesel, right? Elie Wiesel.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he wrote that famous book called Night about his concentration camp experiences. And he said, to forget murder victims is to kill them twice. Right?
Yes.
We can't. That's why we have to show the truth. That this baby's life will not be forgotten.
No, that's for sure. And you know, I had one of those moments. I was doing a gap up in Towson, Maryland, and I was talking to somebody, but I heard behind me a woman just say, like like really loud. And I turned around and I saw the look of shock on her face. And I said, you know, can I help you? Are you okay? And she was just sitting there like this, and she said, I had 2 of those and never again. And she turned away in a huff, and I'll tell you, it was a powerful moment.
Yeah,
you know?
her life is forever different.
Yeah.
To come to terms with the truth that these are human beings who die a violent death, and they die it by sanction of law.
Yeah.
I mean, horrible things happen every day.
Yeah.
But we don't sanction it.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be sanctioning it. I mean,
well, I think a lot of women go through, perhaps after, you know, post-abortive, a lot of women are thinking, why did you let me do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that's a big part of what they're going through. And, you know, they kind of knew what they were doing, but we let them do it. By law, we said, you can go into there and kill your child.
They were protected in doing it, and they have very powerful institutions all over America that sanctions it and supports it and advocates it. I mean, the ACLU is just one, you know, to mention a few.
Yeah.
The media, a large part of academia. So, yeah, and at the end of the day, it's a lonely woman with her dead unborn child, and then these babies that would have been wound up thrown away in the trash. Some of them, in fact, were in the trash.
And nobody would have ever known, and
right.
You brought this baby to light.
Yes.
And you said, this child will not die alone.
That's right, this baby won't die.
And that's powerful. And you heard me talking earlier about our call to the church, that we're encouraging the church to step up to this issue.
Yes.
And Cherish Life Ministries, we want pastors to take responsibility for what's happening in front of them. I mean, like I said...
and I think you're totally onto something there, because I do think pastors feel overwhelmed by the issue. A lot of them are overly sensitive, maybe even some of them, certainly not all of them, but some of them maybe even use it as an excuse. I can't talk about it because it'll hurt women. Some women who have had abortions are in my congregation, but well, how many more women do you want to have abortions in your congregation? There's a way to deal with it. Come on, this is a pastoral issue. You can deal with it pastorally, and I don't. A lot of those women might want you to actually talk about it. You can't just pretend that it's not an issue because some women in your congregation might be hurt.
Yes.
So.
Well, we know that men and women are going through this, and the importance of the pastor recognizing that and getting involved. Anyone who's had the abortions needs help. They need the counseling. And of course, we know there are going to be women sitting in front of that pastor and men who are going through this, and if he doesn't say anything,
first of all, they're the walking wounded. Mm-hmm. They never will actually get healed. It's always sort of your private problem, right? Deal with it privately, if you're going to deal with it at all. And that's just leaving people who are really committed a horrible sin and are having difficulty coming to terms with it, or maybe not coming to terms with it. But when all is said and done, you know, you have to speak the truth so that this injustice will come to an end. And
Absolutely.
the sooner you start talking, the better.
Yeah.
So.
And now, what about these other signs out here? The other aborted signs.
Right.
People claim that these are doctored photos. And, you know, I say, look, I mean, okay, Photoshop
I know
is
the ones
good.
I took aren't doctored. I took them myself.
Well, and which
Okay.
ones are you a part of out here?
I was present when this one was taken.
Yep.
That blue with the pen, I took that photo myself.
Okay.
So these two are, I can definitely say, those
Yep.
are babies that I saw mutilated just like this with my own eyes.
Right.
Anybody who wants to go on our website, there's a whole gallery of photographs that we personally took. They can say, you know, I think when people say that, they're really just, for them it's kind of a false argument.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you really saying that when a woman is, let's say, 16 weeks pregnant, 20 weeks pregnant, that when she has an abortion, there's nothing there? Is that when you say, well, these are doctored photos, are you saying, well, what do you think actually happens in an abortion?
Yes.
We're dealing with a body that has to be cut apart, dealing with legs and arms and rib cages and spinal columns and eyes and a head and neck and feet and hands. What do you think? I mean, go look at, challenge them to go look at, photographs of fetal development, right? So, you take a photograph, let's say it's a Leonard Nilsson picture of an 18-week unborn child, very clearly fully developed, right? Beautiful, completely intact, everything.
Yes.
All right, and so when you abort that child at that stage of gestation, what would be doctored about that baby being completely dismembered at this point? I mean, come on. So it's such a falsehood. I really do believe they just don't want to face the issue as it really exists.
Well, and I think that we've noticed that when we go through the arguments with people who are, quote, pro-choice, they're going through various steps, and one of the things that I've done, occasionally what I'll say to the person is, I'll be glad to debate this topic with you as long as you concede every time we've come to the end of one topic and you have basically abandoned that one because you know you're wrong, you admit that you were wrong, and we'll move on to the next one. And they hate that. They don't, I mean, they just like pause, and it's like, well, come on. I mean, I'll admit if I'm wrong, if we move.
Right, sure.
Will you admit if you're wrong, and we move?
Yeah.
And of course, we go through the same arguments over and over. Population control, what if...
Crime,
incest, and so on and so on. One of the ones that...
Poverty, it's an answer to all the social problems.
Yeah. And one of the ones that blows my mind is, what if your daughter or wife were raped by a black man?
Oh.
Okay? You're not just raped, but they throw in by a black man.
Who's got AIDS.
And you've had that, right? I mean, yes, who has AIDS? That's right. And I just had that the other day when I was at the Supreme Court, and I thought, man, how many times they're going to pull this? And they get away with it. I wish I had a recording at that moment when they said that. It's like, wow, are you racist or what? I don't want my daughter to be raped by a white man. So what is the story?
Yeah, right. And exactly.
Free choice.
Yeah,
see, there's another one.
Yeah,
free choice.
This is the choice. Yep.
There's the choice. Woman's right to choose. Well, we appreciate you talking about this, and that you're hanging in. You're going through it. This is something that we stick with the rest of our lives. I mean, God picks us in this, and we know, and it's one thing that Joe Scheidler has basically said, is that he knows what he's going to be doing the rest of his life.
Right, yes, there you go.
And I know what I'm doing the rest of my life, and defending the defenseless in whatever ways. Yes. Even when we beat this in this country, which we will,
right, and actually that's just the beauty of it. At least I hope it is the beauty of it, that, I don't know, I'm a little bit older than you, but just for the sake of argument, if we were able to reverse Roe versus Wade, return our country back to a respect for life, and then of course now we're talking euthanasia, right? Embryonic stem cell research, fetal experiment. Okay, so we turn that around.
Yeah.
marriage is honored. People understand that there's a relationship between sex and babies, you know, that whole thing. I would hope that the pro-life movement understands that there's a social commitment
Yes.
to the poor, to the needy, and the outcast.
Yeah.
You know, beyond the abortion issue.
We are the true liberals. We are the
Right.
true
That we don't
progressives.
just go home and say, okay,
That's
job
right.
done. Now we can
That's
live our
right.
normal lives again, right? See, it should never be that way for a Christian anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Well, how do people find out again how to get your book and read more about what you do?
Go to our website, prolifesociety.com.
ProLifeSociety.com. Well, thank you, Monica. Appreciate it.
Bless you. Okay.